You may be able to prevent a bank robbery. In the crime reenactment you're about to see, you may recognize the individual believed responsible for 5 recent bank robberies in Palm Beach County, and that information could prevent a repetition of a dangerous crime.
To the casual observer, the man is merely another customer. Nothing in his dress or mannerism would call attention to his planned confrontation with the unsuspecting teller.
This is a robbery. Follow the instructions on the note. Make it quick and natural.
Although no gun was displayed, the threat was real. The teller followed his instructions quickly, knowing that his nervousness could easily trigger violence. With the money in the bag, he walked away hurriedly, but his actions were recorded. These are actual photographs of the June 27th robbery of Sun Point Savings at 901 South Federal Highway in Boynton Beach. According to descriptions given investigators and the method used, the same man is thought to be responsible for the June 20th robbery of Duval Federal at 1001 North Dixie Highway in Lake Worth. On June 24th, Coral Gables Savings on Okeechobee Boulevard in West Palm Beach was robbed at 2:42 p.m. On June 27th, City Federal Savings on Glades Road in Boca Raton fell victim at 3 p.m. The robber of Fidelity Federal on Forest Hill Boulevard in West Palm Beach on June 16th is believed to be the same man. He is described as between 25 and 30 years old, between 5 feet 6 inches and 5 feet 9 inches tall, weighs 140 to 170 pounds with a slender build. He was wearing dark glasses and a baseball-type cap. In only one instance, the robber was seen leaving in a small blue car.
We need your help in identifying this man before he strikes again. Call Crime Stoppers at 689-TIPS. We'll check out your information. No one will know who made the call, and you could be eligible for up to a $1,000 reward. Crime Stoppers, it's working for you.
Boynton Beach police are asking for help in identifying the persons responsible for a near-fatal shooting in their city.
It began with a traffic confrontation as the truck and small light-colored hatchback were heading south on Federal Highway at about 9:30 p.m. on Wednesday, July 30th. Clayton Hackney and Earl Sawyer, 2 young construction workers from Orlando, were not in a mood to be hassled. The truck turned into the Causeway Square parking lot in the 1600 block of North Federal, with the small car close behind.
Come on, get out of the car. Come on. Get out of the car. Come on. Get out of the car. What you got? Let me see what you got.
Earl Sawyer ran to help his friend. The attackers were speeding away. The car, a small 2-door hatchback, is possibly a Honda 80 to 83 model, white or light beige, with 2 brown pinstripes down the side. The occupants were 2 black males, both 17 to 20 years of age, with short cropped hair. Their weapon, a shotgun. Clayton Hackney, aged 25, had suffered a near-fatal injury, taking the full blast from the shotgun in the back of his neck.
If you have seen this vehicle or know of anyone that matches the description of the suspects, please call 689-TIPS or in the Boca Delray area, 276-TIPS. Crime Stoppers offers a reward of up to $1,000. No one knows who made the call. You remain anonymous when you call Crime Stoppers.
Law enforcement authorities once again are asking for your help in identifying the person believed responsible for multiple bank robberies in Palm Beach County.
The date was Tuesday, July 8th. At First Federated Savings and Loan on Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard, business as usual was about to be interrupted. At 9:22 a.m., the man walked to the teller's counter and quietly handed her a note.
Yes, this is bank robbery. Fill up the bag, get your money. Hurry up and be quick about it. Let's go. Be quick about it. Hurry up. Let's go.
This was a robbery in progress, but others in the bank were unaware of the critical situation. The robber took the cash in the brown paper bag and walked quickly away. Once the immediate danger was over, the alarm was given. The man was seen getting into a four-door tan Toyota 1980 or 81 model with a vanity plate in front with the name Pete. He was gone before anyone could respond. This same scenario has been repeated for a total of 4 bank robberies over the last 2 months. On Monday, June 23rd, First Federal Savings at 215 South Olive was robbed at 10:45 a.m. On June 27 at 11 a.m., AmeriFirst on North Congress was targeted. On Wednesday, July 16 at 9 a.m., Sunbank on North Dixie was robbed. This same man is believed responsible for all 4 robberies. He is a black male in his mid-20s, between 6 feet 1 inch and 6 feet 3 inches tall, and weighs around 165 pounds. His method is always the same. Bank personnel and customers are asked to make note of anyone answering this description.
It is only with your help that law enforcement can identify these criminals. If you have any information on this bank robber or any other serious crime, tell it to Crime Stoppers. Call 689-TIPS. We guarantee anonymity, and you can be eligible for up to a $1,000 reward.
What started as an ordinary passenger pickup turned into a triple felony, and one yellow cab driver is lucky to have escaped with his life.
It was just before daybreak on August 24th when the driver of the yellow cab picked up the passenger on Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard in West Palm Beach.
I need to get over to Coff's Towing. You know where that is?
Sure, I can take you there. What's the matter, you carbon towed?
Yeah.
It was a short drive to Coff's Towing Service, and the driver was totally unprepared for his passenger's sudden change.
Put your hand on the dash. Take your keys out. Open the door.
Displaying a knife and a handgun, the man forced the driver into the trunk of the cab. The man now had the perfect vehicle for the rest of his plan. The yellow cab attracted no special attention as it pulled in near the parking toll booth at Palm Beach International Airport. The clerk on duty was caught off guard.
Give me your money! That's not enough!
He would handcuff her nearby, then return to finish the job. Meanwhile, the second clerk arrived. She was to become the third victim.
Give me your money! Here! Don't call anybody, or I'll kill you!
He found car keys in the clerk's purse and fled in her car, which was found abandoned in West Palm Beach a short time later. Although no one was seriously injured, this black male in his mid-20s is a definite threat to life and property. He is about 5 feet 9 inches tall, weighs about 155 pounds, and was well-dressed in designer jeans.
You may have seen something which could lead to the identity of this man. Tell it to Crime Stoppers. Call 689-TIPS.
West Palm Beach police are asking for your help in identifying the suspect and his accomplice in the attempted murder of a Massachusetts businessman. You may have seen or heard something which could be valuable.
Australian Avenue is a heavily traveled, well-lighted roadway. To the visitors attending a convention at PGA Sheridan, it looked like a logical route back to their hotel. They were headed north in a white Hertz rental car about 12:45 a.m. September 17. Even at this midnight hour, they were third in line as they stopped for the traffic light at the intersection of 15th Street and Australian Avenue. Two black males in the first car had attracted no attention until the door on the passenger side of the white Olds 98 opened. The man ran to the side of the street, then turned south. The violence that followed was totally unexpected. The visitor at the wheel of the Hertz car tried desperately to get away, but the single shot had shattered the window and caught his passenger in the back of the neck. The gunman ran back to his waiting friend and fled in the 1977 and 79 model four-door white Olds 98. The driver of the second car, a black Firebird or Camaro, may have been simply an innocent witness to the tragedy in the street behind him. In a frantic effort to save his friend's life, the driver of the victim car sped north and was directed to the hospital emergency room. The young businessman had suffered a near-fatal injury with a prognosis of paralysis.
This, like countless others, was a senseless act of violence. We need your help. If you have information regarding this or any other crime, call Crime Stoppers at 689-TIPS and Belglade 996-TIPS. Don't give your name, be an eyewitness anonymous, and be eligible for up to a $1,000 reward.
The Crime Stoppers dramatization you're about to see is based partially on established fact, with some portions recreated, as police believe they may have occurred. Any information about the victim or events prior to her death may be valuable in identifying a killer.
Isla Hill was making last-minute preparations for a trip to her former home in Wisconsin. She'd be attending her son's wedding and would also be getting her final divorce papers. She was putting her life together again, had rented a small apartment at 1704 North Dixie in Lake Worth, and was using her talents in arts and crafts to establish her own business. It was close to 1 a.m., Tuesday, September 9. She'd get some sleep, then be ready to start the long drive. But that was not to be.
Who is it?
It's me!
Oh.
Evidence suggests that the late-night visitor was admitted by Isla, who recognized him as an acquaintance. She could not have known of his intended violence.
What do you mean it's going nowhere?
You don't own me.
Yes, I do.
Then it was over. Bloodstains covered the man's hands, face, and clothing. He could not risk leaving by the front door. He quickly removed the screen on the east side of the building and fled the scene of the savage attack. Isla Hill, age 49, stumbled to the doorway and found her way outside, where her screams attracted the attention of a nearby security guard from Steve Moore Chevrolet. Police and emergency medical services were there within moments. He was my friend. Why did he do this? Those were Isla Hill's words. She repeated them again at the hospital just before she died, the victim of more than 30 stab and slash wounds. The knife was left at the scene.
I'm Howard Hill. Isla Hill was my mother. Please help the Lake Worth police catch her killer. Call Crime Stoppers at 689-TIPS.
It is a recognized fact that police alone cannot cut the crime rate, nor prevent the sale or use of illegal drugs. When the community says this is enough and citizens stop turning their heads just the other way, then the cooperative effort will bring results. This is the case in our next reenactment. Local police need your help in identifying and locating those responsible for this tragedy in our community.
This street in downtown West Palm Beach was once like any other street in this country. People went about their daily business, opened their shops, talked with their neighbors. But something changed the pattern of life in this neighborhood. That something was crack, freebase cocaine, sold in the form of tiny, ready-to-smoke rocks. Why is crack so dangerous? Because it can create an almost immediate addiction, sometimes after just 1 or 2 experimental uses. But the real dangers of crack are not confined to those caught up in the cocaine epidemic. Its side effects are more and more often reflected in burglaries, muggings, assaults, and even murder. The statistics can no longer be ignored. Nadia Nicole Reed, age 7, had heard about the dangers of using drugs. Even in elementary school, she had learned the "Just Say No" slogan. It was August 14th, and Nadia had walked just a few steps from her home. This was the 600 block of 3rd Street. The time was just after noon when the shots sounded. For 2 rival gangs, the Belle Glade boys and the Miami boys, this was confrontation. For Nadia Nicole Reed, born 1979, this was the end of her life. The guilty ones scattered, and the entire community mourned the senseless murder of a child.
We need your help in identifying the suspects involved in this shooting. If you have any information about this or any other serious crime, call Crime Stoppers at 689-TIPS, or in Belle Glade, 996-TIPS. You don't have to leave your name, and you can still be eligible for up to a $1,000 reward.
Criminals at large are a serious problem and a potential threat to us all. Law enforcement officers are asking for help in locating these people wanted for serious crimes against the citizens of South Florida.
Bruce Algren, age 43, is 5 feet 4 inches tall, weighs 160 pounds, has brown hair and blue eyes. Algren is wanted on numerous charges, including burglary, kidnapping, and aggravated assault and battery. Thomas C. Lester, also known as Tommy McKay, was born January 2nd, 1964. He is 6 feet 2 inches, 175 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. He is charged with robbery, lewd assault, and sexual battery. 25-year-old Francisco Perez is also known as Susano Vega, Jose de la Cruz, or Juan de la Cruz. He is 5 feet 7 inches tall, weighs 145 pounds, and has brown hair and brown eyes. Perez is wanted for first-degree murder, attempted murder, and numerous other charges. He is considered dangerous. Darrell B. Wilson is 5 feet 3 inches tall and weighs 115 pounds. Wilson is 24 years old, is also known as Jerry King, or Short Man. He is wanted on numerous charges of burglary, aggravated assault, sexual battery, and robbery. Timothy R. Kenny, or Tim Kenny, was born October 13, 1963. He is 6 feet tall, weighs 190 pounds, and has brown hair with hazel eyes. Kenny has an extensive history of forgery. He is wanted on 36 counts of grand theft. Any information about these wanted persons could be helpful. Call Crime Stoppers at 689-TIPS. In Boca Raton or Delray, call 276-TIPS, and in the Glades, 996-TIPS. Remain anonymous, and you're eligible for up to a $1,000 reward.
The murder of another Palm Beach County resident has detectives asking for your help.
It was Saturday, October 4th, and Tony Ritchie was talking with his friend.
I need a ride, though. Yeah, pick me up at the usual spot.
The friend needed a babysitter who would stay with her year-old daughter overnight. The mother was going camping with friends, and Tony didn't have any other plans. It was about 8 p.m. when the campers left Tony with the baby girl at 1281 Drexel Road. Investigators believe it was sometime before daylight Sunday morning when 21-year-old Tony Ritchie was abducted, probably at gunpoint.
down.
He was taken by his captors to the south end of Duckweed Road in Homeland. One shot from a large caliber handgun ended the life of William Anthony Ritchie, and the assassins walked away. His body was left at the end of the road, where it was found about 6:30 p.m. Sunday. Apparently, no attempt had been made to conceal the murder. The campers returned Sunday afternoon, about 1:30, to find the baby unharmed, but she obviously had been left alone for many hours.
On Monday, about 3 p.m., this victim was identified as William Tony Ritchie. He was 21 years old. He was a victim of a deliberate and brutal murder. We believe it may be drug-related, however, it could be a vendetta. At this time, we need your help. Call 689-TIPS, tell it to Crime Stoppers. Be eligible for a $1,000 reward and remain anonymous.
Vandalizing a public utility service can create a real problem. It is not confined just to the company that provides the service. Such acts affect us all, in many instances creating a real safety hazard. Florida Power and Light Company and the FBI need your help in identifying those responsible for this most recent threat to life and property.
According to evidence in the area of one damaged site, it was probably an amateur marksman, just out for practice in the Loxahatchee area west of Royal Palm Boulevard, known as the Acreage. The date was Friday, October 10th. It was sometime before 3 p.m., and the unnamed rifleman was taking careful aim, determined to improve his marksmanship. It was his total disregard for his own safety and the safety of others that branded him as a definite threat. Probably a number of shots were fired as he set his sights on a major electrical conductor. This was a Florida Power and Light unit which provided service to the entire area. 240,000 volts of electricity were about to be unleashed. Finally, the cable snapped and dropped to the ground. Instantly, service to more than 2,100 homes and businesses was interrupted. Emergency crews were dispatched. The downed wire had sparked fire in the underbrush. It was spreading rapidly and had to be maintained before repairs could begin. Had the response been delayed, property owners would have faced an even more serious threat. Lives, too, would have been in jeopardy.
We need your help in stopping these acts of vandalism. If you know anything about this or any other cases of irresponsible shooting that endangers lives and property, tell it to Crime Stoppers. Call 689-TIPS. You may qualify for up to a $1,000 reward and still remain anonymous. It's your way of fighting back against crime.
Both federal and local law enforcement officers are asking for help in the recovery of explosives which washed ashore recently on our beaches.
It was October 18th when the first known boxes washed ashore at Coral Cove Park in Jupiter. Beachgoers were curious. That curiosity turned to excitement as the small devices, known to demolition experts as fuse detonators, were found in some of the damaged boxes left ashore by the receding waves. Not realizing the explosive power of these innocent-looking pieces, souvenir hunters were soon scouring the beaches. Their searches yielded far more than was ever expected when the powerful Russian-made rocket-propelled grenades were added to their collections. Remnants of the lost cargo have since been found on the beaches from Melbourne to Delray Beach. The FBI, Coast Guard, United States Navy, local law enforcement and Marine units, and safety specialists had been alerted with the first discovery. An urgent appeal was issued for the immediate return of the deadly souvenirs. A few have been recovered. Others, however, remain in the hands of unauthorized and unqualified individuals who apparently have chosen to ignore the warnings.
This is the real danger to the citizens of South Florida. The mere exposure to seawater has made these devices extremely sensitive. Static electricity or even mere touch can set them off. My caution is to boaters, divers, fishermen. If they do see these items, on the beach or in the water, to just mark them and then call the Palm Beach County Bomb Squad.
Devastation, reminiscent of the Vietnam War, could be the result of an accidental detonation of one of these souvenirs. Don't take that chance. If you have any information about these devices and you don't want to get involved, call Crime Stoppers at 689-TIPS. You'll be eligible for a reward, and you just might save your life, or the life of someone you know.
Last year, there were 380 cases of reported rape in Palm Beach County. Authorities tell us there were probably 10 times that number, but many go unreported. What this does is allows the rapist the freedom to continue his attacks and increases the number of victims. Lake Worth police are asking for your help in identifying one such felon.
The date was March 4th. The place, a residential area in the northwest section of Lake Worth. It was just after 10 p.m., and the young woman was taking a shower when she heard a slight noise in the living room and remembered her unlocked front door. She started toward the living room when she was confronted by the man standing in the dining room.
Hey!
Oh, God.
Come in here.
No,
I
get
will
away
not
from me,
hurt you.
please, get away.
I like you.
Who are you?
I told you don't fight me and I won't
Please, get out
hurt
of
you.
my house. Get out. Leave me alone.
I won't
Just
hurt
get
you.
out of my house, please.
Shut up and I won't hurt you. I told you don't fight me and I won't hurt you. Don't fight me.
The young victim was sexually assaulted, suffering personal violations second only to murder. The police were summoned but have been unable to locate her attacker. This rapist is described as a white male, 20 to 25 years old, about 5 feet 10 inches tall and heavy set. He has sandy brown hair and was wearing blue jeans and a light blue t-shirt.
Crimes like this are occurring more and more all the time. Please help us catch those that are responsible. Call Crime Stoppers at 689-TIPS.
Criminals at large are a serious problem and a potential threat to us all. Law enforcement officers are asking for help in locating these people wanted for serious crimes against the citizens of South Florida.
Federal warrants are out for Robert Allen Litchfield, also known as Martin Carroll, Robert Williamson, or Bob Litchfield. He is 38 years old, 6 feet tall, weighs about 200 pounds, and has brown eyes and brown hair. Litchfield is wanted for bank robbery and escape from Talladega, Alabama. Donna June Litchfield, age 35, may be in the company of her husband. She is wanted for bank fraud. Donna Litchfield also uses the name Donna June Stute, or Stunt. She is 5 feet 5 inches tall, weighs 115 pounds, has brown hair and brown eyes, and a scar on her left knee. Robert L. Williams is 6 feet 3 inches and weighs 175 pounds. Williams is 37 years old and is wanted on charges of robbery and violation of parole. White male Robert Winchester is 6 feet tall, weighs 155 pounds, and has brown hair and brown eyes. He also uses the name Dale and is wanted for escape. He was born April 5th, 1957. Stucky L. Anderson, also called Cat, is 5 feet 6 inches, weighs 141 pounds, and was born November 8, 1958. His occupation is a plasterer, and he, too, is wanted for escape. If you know something about any of these wanted persons, call Crime Stoppers at 689-TIPS. No one knows who made the call, and you're eligible for up to a $1,000 reward. Crime Stoppers number 252, copy B.
Criminals at large are a serious problem and a potential threat to us all. Law enforcement officers are asking for help in locating these people wanted for serious crimes against the citizens of South Florida.
Beth A. Izzo, age 21, is 5 feet 4 inches tall, weighs 135 pounds, and has brown hair and brown eyes. Beth is 21 years old and is wanted for escape from an institution. Ronald E. Nuttles, Jr., is 5 feet 9 inches tall, weighs 120 pounds, and has brown hair with blue eyes. Nettles works as a carpenter and is charged with robbery. His date of birth is March 21st, 1963. Black male Robert L. Williams is 6 feet 3 inches tall and weighs 175 pounds. His date of birth is March 6, 1949. He is wanted for robbery. If you know something about any of these wanted persons, call Crime Stoppers at 689-TIPS. In the Boca del Rey area, call 276-TIPS. And in the Glades, 996-TIPS. Don't give your name. You're still eligible for up to a $1,000 reward.
Acts of personal violence are becoming very common here in South Florida. Everyone, from the very old to the very young, is open to attack. In this instance, one of the county's finer school facilities has become the scene of an act of personal violence. Here, a young woman was abducted and eventually raped while on her way to an evening class. This is something the community must not tolerate. Watch closely and see if you know anything which may help solve this crime. Santa Lucia's Community High School is rightfully proud of its place in the community. The modern facility offers additional after-hours educational advantages for citizens of all ages. For one 17-year-old woman, it provided an opportunity to complete her high school training, take her GED exam, and perhaps go on to junior college. Although it is not her name, we will call her Beth. It was 7 p.m., Monday, October 20th.
I got a knife, don't scream.
Frightened and fearing the worst, Beth went with the man. The pair made their way to her car and drove from campus. The man headed west on Lantana Road, eventually parking in a wooded area where he sexually assaulted her. The knife threat prevented her escape.
Shut up, be quiet. Shut up, I'll kill you,
It was just after 11 p.m. when the rapist drove Beth into the city of Lake Worth. Stopping in the 800 block of North Dixie, he pushed her from the car, then jumped from the driver's side and fled on foot. The man responsible for this act of personal violence is a black male in his early 20s, medium height and weight.
Although this young woman was taken from Santa Lucia's Community High School, it could have happened at any school, shopping mall, or convenience store. We need to find this man before he strikes again. Call Crime Stoppers at 689-TIPS. It could be worth up to $1,000 in reward.
Jeannie was enjoying her brief stay in Florida. For the 25-year-old woman, an outing with her little one in Calusa Park on South Congress Avenue in Boynton Beach was a real treat. It was about 4 p.m. on December the 9th. The sudden attack terrified the 18-month-old toddler. For the mother, the brutal beating she endured preceded the trauma of sexual assault.
Let's go, come on. Come on. Shut up. Help! Shut up. Leave Shut me up. alone. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up.
The assailant, armed with a kitchen knife, made escape impossible. Then it was over. He fled with no concern for his devastated victims. The rapist is a black male in his 30s, about 6 feet tall, 200 pounds, with dark complexion and a mustache. He was wearing blue workman's shirt and pants and a ski mask.
You may have seen such an individual in the Calusa Park area on that date. Any information could provide a valuable clue. Call Crime Stoppers at 689-TIPS in Boca Del Rey 276-TIPS. We don't want your name, just your information, and you may be eligible for up to a $1,000 reward.
Merchants who request multiple identifications for check cashing have good reason for caution. Criminals with false identifications are responsible for the loss of millions of dollars each year. One such man is believed to be operating in this area. There is no reason to suspect the man who has just entered the appliance store. There is nothing out of the ordinary in his dress or mannerism. He makes his selection, one of the higher priced items, produces his identification, pays by check, and drives away with valuable merchandise. Merchants are asked to be on the alert for this man, known variously as Thomas W. Taylor and Thomas Joseph Johnson. Information on his driver's license under the name of Taylor is false. He is an expert at deception. The suspect is 5 feet 8 inches tall, with blue eyes and blonde to graying hair. He was last seen driving a 1970 old station wagon, cream color, with California tag 003AQF. Warrants have been issued in Broward County for 3 felony counts of grand theft, worthless checks. There are also other warrants. He was last reported to be in Delray Beach. If you have any information, call Crime Stoppers at 689-TIPS or in Boca Del Rey at 276-TIPS. You may be eligible for up to a $1,000 reward.
One of the most effective weapons in the war against crime is the telephone. It is your way of letting law enforcement officers know what's happening in your community. It has proven its value in the Crime Stoppers program.
In 1986, more than 1,300 anonymous calls on the Crime Stoppers tips line provided important information about serious crimes in our county. From this information, 193 cases were solved and 130 arrests were made. More than $100,000 in stolen property was recovered, and more than $75,000 in narcotics confiscated. This brings the total since the program began in September 1981 to 606 cases solved, 415 arrests made, and the value of property recovered and narcotics seized is more than $11 million. This is your success story. Crime Stoppers is a citizen's effort to get information to law enforcement, to help them restore a sense of security, law, and order to our communities. If you know something about serious crime, call the anonymous crime line, 689-TIPS. In Boca del Rey, call 276-TIPS. And in the Glades, 996-TIPS. You don't give your name, and the reward for your information could be as much as $1,000. Crime Stoppers is working for you.
Violence has claimed the life of still another Palm Beach County resident, and West Palm Beach police investigators need your help in identifying the person responsible.
22-year-old Robert Hibbs was well satisfied with his apartment at 1700 Embassy Drive. The location was convenient for his job at Palm Beach Mall. On January 8th, he left work at his usual time, 4 p.m., to return to the apartment. Did he, in fact, arrive there just a few minutes after 4? Detectives need your help in detailing the events that followed. Did he surprise an unknown intruder, or was he well acquainted with the person who would become his killer? What confrontation caused the violence? Neighbors may have noticed someone entering or leaving apartment 403 between 4 and 10:30 p.m. It was during that critical time that a single shot in the back ended the life of a likable young man. His roommate called the police at 10:30 to report finding the body on the living room floor. Robert Hibbs was not known to be involved with drugs. He was quiet, well-liked, and a hard worker. Now he is dead, and his murderer remains at large.
You may have seen or heard something that could help us solve this senseless homicide. You remain anonymous when you call Crime Stoppers at 689-TIPS. Your information could be worth up to a $1,000 reward.
I'm Jim Morton, Chairman of the Board of Directors of Crime Stoppers of Palm Beach County. During Saturday's 3-hour telethon on TV 12, Crime Stoppers received pledges of just over $60,000, thanks to you. This sends a strong message to the criminal element that we're tired of crime in our communities. We will not tolerate the violence in our streets. Crime Stoppers operates solely on your contributions of money and services. Your dollars pay for the anonymous tips line. Your dollars pay for the rewards for information about serious crimes in our area. Speaking for the entire Board of Directors, thanks for your continuing support.
Speaking for the men and women in law enforcement, I want to add our sincere thanks. Since this program began, calls to the tips line have been responsible for 685 cases being solved. 466 arrests have been made. Almost $1 million in stolen property has been recovered. And more than $10.5 million in illegal drugs have been confiscated. This is your success story. You have made Palm Beach County a model for the rest of the country by proving that the citizens and law enforcement working together get the job done. I'm proud of this cooperative effort, and the entire criminal justice community appreciates your continued effort to help us maintain law and order in our communities. Thank you.
This scenario begins like many others. The lure is the chance at quick and easy cash. The ending, too, is becoming more and more common. The central figure is permanently removed, quickly replaced, and the tragedy is ready to be repeated.
Juan S. Luiz was a familiar figure in the area of Germantown Road and 10th Street in Delray Beach. He considered D's Grocery to be within his territory. He liked the steady flow of traffic that provided his easy profits. But the inevitable violence was building. It was too late when he recognized the danger signals, probably sometime between March 1st and March 3rd.
You need some? Yeah, man, I need a rock. You got some rock today? Sure, we got some. Come on, let's go for a rock. How much you need, brother? We got some pretty good stuff here today. You got a 10? Sure, no problem.
He may have gone willingly with his abductors, not expecting the trap, which would cost him his life. The execution was predictable. The final desecration was the body wrapped in plastic to be dumped into the old Palm Beach Canal between 20 Mile Bend and Pahokee. On Friday, March 6th, sheriff's investigators were notified of the grim evidence of murder and were faced with the now familiar task of tracking the killers, who could even now be playing the roles of the next potential victims. Someone mourns the death of the 5'6", 140-pound Puerto Rican man, Juan S. Luiz, age 26. Someone knows the details of his murder, or can possibly lead to the identification of those responsible.
Crime Stoppers can help. Call 689-TIPS or in Boca Del Rey, 276-TIPS. You don't have to give your name, and Crime Stoppers offers up to $1,000 for your information.
A young woman disappears, and her friends assume she's just moved on. All too often, questions are never asked. Her acquaintances never know her real fate. In this instance, it was a case of murder.
Although this recreation of events is based largely on speculation, police investigators believe this could well parallel the actual facts. The young woman was something of a loner. She was used to looking out for herself. Life had not been easy, but she had hopes. The date was sometime between June 4 and June 20th. Whether she knew her attacker or was surprised by the sudden savagery of a comparative stranger, the encounter ended in violence. The killer, who had shown no concern for the life he had taken, knew he must now cover his own tracks. Probably familiar with the area, he realized that leaving her body in the unoccupied building at 10th and North Dixie Highway would give him the time he needed. On June 25th, her body was found. No one has come forward to name the young woman with shoulder-length brown hair and well-cared-for teeth, whose favorite piece of jewelry was the quarter-note earring once sold by Avon.
You may know someone who matches the description of this victim. Maybe it's someone you haven't seen for a while. This information could be valuable. Crime Stoppers offers up to a $1,000 reward for information about serious crime. Remember, no one will know who made that call.
A hit-and-run death is a particularly traumatic experience for family and friends of the victim. When the death is that of a child, it is particularly heartbreaking and affects us all. Crime Stoppers is asking for your help in identifying the person responsible for one such tragedy. Any information can be valuable.
It was close to sundown, 5:45 p.m. on January 15th, and the toddler had quietly opened the front door of his home at 1368 Davis Road in Delray Beach. He had escaped from the watchful eye of his mother. Children were playing in the yard across the street. He wanted to play too. This was his big adventure. It was a cruel turn of events that the cyclist chose that moment to test the speed of his bike on that same stretch of road in the residential neighborhood. His mother heard the commotion, heard the motorcycle roaring away, and ran frantically in search of her small son. Her worst fears came true. The speed of the cyclist and the fact that he would not stop only added to the horror. Little Vanel Sinoble, age 2, had been killed by the hit-and-run rider. The cycle was described as a large, brown, probably Kawasaki 750cc 79 to 82 model. It had mag-type wheels and no front cowling. The motorcycle rider was a young white man, probably in his 20s, wearing boots, an open flannel shirt, a white helmet with dark-tinted face shield.
Perhaps you know someone who matches this description. If you live in the area south of Lake Ida Road and Delray Beach, you may have seen such a rider. This information could be worth up to $1,000 from Crime Stoppers. Call 689-TIPS or in Boca Del Rey 276-TIPS. You remain anonymous when you call Crime Stoppers.
The Crime Stoppers dramatization you're about to see was taped during daylight hours to emphasize the potential for violence, which goes hand in hand with armed robbery. Such attacks can occur at any hour, and no community is immune.
What a night. Oh,
This particular incident took place in the newer development of Strathmore Gate West in the village of Royal Palm Beach. The date was Saturday, February 7th. The time, just before 11 p.m. Two unsuspecting women and their escort had enjoyed a pleasant evening in the clubhouse.
Hey, get out the car! Get out. That's right, yeah. Hey, get out! Get out! Turn around! Turn around! Get up against the car! All right, give me what? Where is it? Where is it? Give me the money, man! Give me the money. What's the money, man? I don't care. Okay. Got anything? You have anything? Give me. What's this? Hey! Hey, man, he got a gun. I should blow his brains out, man! Let's go!
The entire incident took only moments. The robbers made good their escape in a waiting car, taking with them both cash and jewelry. Both suspects are black males in their late teens or early 20s. Both are about 6 feet tall with medium build. Suspect number 1 is described as well-dressed, very well-groomed, with close-cut hairstyle and dark complexion. Suspect number 2 is described as very good-looking, light complexion, with hair combed straight back. Both spoke with a slight southern accent and appeared calm during the robbery.
If you have any information about this or any other serious crime in Palm Beach County, call Crime Stoppers at 689-TIPS. You can remain anonymous and receive up to a $1,000 reward.
Adolescents often leave home to avoid the hassles of parental supervision. But in all too many cases, they can't cope with the violence in the streets. In this instance, it ended in murder.
Although this recreation of events is based largely on speculation, police investigators believe this could well parallel the actual facts. The teenager had been on her own for about 6 months. So far, she had managed to avoid major trouble, but her freedom was soon to end. The date was sometime between June 4th and June 20th. Whether she knew her attacker or was surprised by the sudden savagery of a comparative stranger, the encounter ended in violence. The killer walked away, leaving her body in the unoccupied building at 10th and North Dixie Highway. Probably familiar with the area, he thought that would give him the time he needed to cover his tracks. He showed no concern for the life he had taken. It was not until April 1987 that the victim's identity was revealed by a call on the Crime Stoppers tips line. Investigation confirmed the body to be that of 17-year-old Janet Lynn Jarsky of West Palm Beach.
Someone knows more about the death of this brown-haired teenager. This information could be valuable in identifying the persons responsible for this gruesome murder. Crime Stoppers pays up to a $1,000 reward. Call Crime Stoppers at 689-TIPS. Remember, no one will know who made that call.